What's up, folks? I'm super excited to have my good friend Iesha Glover from Zen Aromas and Wellness LLC. Iesha is the homie from way, way back. I mean, we knew each other since what, elementary school? It's been a long time.
Yeah, I think what fourth, fourth or fifth grade, we go back to either Miss Watkins or Miss Edgecombe, one of them.
Yep. So it's been a long way coming, and
Yeah.
we just stayed in touch over the years. It's funny we got the same initials, so IG has always been kind of our moniker for each other, and I
hmm
love it. It's just dope.
Yeah.
So, first off, I want to just say thanks for coming on the show. So, if you could just give our audience just a quick general overview of who you are, what Zen Aromas is all about, and just kind of how you gotten started on your journey.
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. My name is Aisha. Of course, IG already mentioned I am the CEO and founder of Zen Aromas, where we specialize in holistic products and services um, for all, but specifically for neurodivergent individuals and trauma survivors. So Zen Aromas actually came about, it started out as a hobby where I created candles back in 2018. I realized I had a love for candles. I will always buy candles and keep them stocked in the house. And one day I just came up with the brilliant idea, hey, if I love candles this much, I might as well learn how to make them, so I won't have to spend so much money on them. So I did my research, figured out what types of candles I wanted to make, and bought the supplies, and I just started making them from there. And then after I made my first candle, that's when the whole trial and error process started, to where I learned, different ratios between the fragrance oils or the essential oils with the waxes and things like that. So it is a science, but it became a very nerd like hobby for me. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. From there, my brand just grew, from different types of candles, different types of aromatherapy. And then I dabbled into skincare products, where I think my most famous skincare product is my whipped body butters. Um, so that's what my brand is known for. Is started out as aromatherapy, and then it just grew very recently. Back in 2023, late 2023, I started adding services to my brand. Um, Yoga services. So now I take on private clients as well as teach group classes, for yoga. So that's how we started out. That's how we grew as a brand. Started out 2018 as a hobby, became official 2019, and we've been just growing and pivoting and learning ever since.
That's part of the journey. It's no business ever goes in a straight line. It's like you're gonna have to go through some obstacles here and there to kind of weather the storm a little bit, see what works best, what doesn't work, but stay kind of true to who you are and what you want
Yeah,
to be as a brand.
yeah,
Personally, I love those with body butters. I bought some myself
yeah.
and some of your candles. I think that they're all so sweet. So,
Mhm.
as far as self care, right? Let's talk about the power of self care as an entrepreneur. You know, we hear it a lot. Now, what exactly does self care mean to you, and why is it so important for you to just make this your business model?
I think for me, so they always talk about remember your why, right? Um, for me, offering myself self care was one of my whys. I had to learn how to pour into me. So when Zen Aromas really took off back in 2019, I was pregnant with my second child, and I was maintaining that on top of COVID starting to come into play, and then just really coming to terms with how the world was shifting around me. And I think that creating some type of self-care routine for myself was very very important for the moment and for the times that were happening in the world at the moment. And self-care means to me pouring into yourself, doing the things that you thoroughly enjoy, unapologetically, so that you have enough space to offer other people, the ones that you love, and enough grace to offer the world. Because if you don't pour into yourself, you really don't have enough to pour into other people. Um, a lot of times people think that self-care is, for women at least, is going out to go get your hair done or going out to get your nails done and spending hours in a bathtub with candles lit. That's all nice. It's a beautiful thing for sure. I will definitely say that. But that's one thing I don't do. I don't enjoy going out to go get my nails done. I do my own nails. I don't thoroughly enjoy taking baths. I'm a shower girl, but the way that I self care is mindfully drinking my coffee in the morning. Just taking small sips and realizing how it's making me feel, how it's making my body feel in the morning. Um, Other ways of self care is me just hopping on the yoga mat, doing some mild stretches, or practicing a gentle yoga routine.
Okay.
Meditating, I enjoy meditating. I love, love, love meditating. um, just meditating, just to kind of put me back into groundedness and centering myself. It's also great before bedtime. And journaling, just writing down exactly what comes to mind, even if I don't feel good in the moment, just kind of writing it down, releasing some of that pent up tension, and writing it down and just having it on paper is also a form of self-care. So I think those are the types of things that recharge me, so that when I do spend those moments for myself, I'm able to show up in the world as my best self, especially for my husband and my children. Um, and self care can look different for everyone, but those are the ways, that I practice self care.
Yeah, I think that's super important too when you factor in just how much workload we put on ourselves, So we have to kind of make time for our family, but at the end of the day, also ourselves.
Hmm.
You know, I really love to meditate myself. I think it's a very easy way to kind of just get into your own elements, kind of just be in tune with your own thoughts and stuff. So I
Hmm.
think I think that's been helping me a lot over the years. Um, I haven't, and just it's funny you say you don't enjoy soaking in the bath because for me personally, I just don't like waiting for the tub to fill. I'm impatient. It takes forever. I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
man. So by that point, I could have like took 2 showers for all of that.
Yeah.
It's just all right. So now going to the aromatherapy side, you know, I don't know the science behind it. I just know I like the scents.
Hmm.
Um, so if you can kind of help talk about how aromatherapy kind of helps, improve our mental and cognitive kind of states to get us back in our A game.
Okay, so certain scents are known to trigger different areas of the brain that promote different things. So, say for instance, well, first of all, aromatherapy comes from premium grade essential oils. Essential oils come from different types of plants from the earth, or fruits. Um, that's extracted, cold pressed, from these plants or fruits, and bottled up into little bottles. And they're highly, highly concentrated. So using a little bit at a time is most beneficial. But I will say, aromatherapy is known to target specific areas of the brain that promote different things. So, say for instance, the grandfather of essential oils, I would say, is lavender. A lot of people, the majority of people enjoy lavender. And lavender is a plant, it's a purple plant, it's a flower. And a lot of times the oils are extracted from this flower, maybe cold pressed, or whatever way people extract these oils. But um, lavender is known to calm the mind, um, and just put you at ease. Um, and then we also have like a eucalyptus, which is another green. It's a green plant. Um, the oils are extracted from the leaves of the eucalyptus plant, and people use that to help them breathe a little bit better. So a lot of times when you find topical medications like a lot of holistic topical medications use eucalyptus. You can rub it on your chest. You can rub it on
Mm-hmm.
your pressure points, the bottom of your feet, your wrist, and just kind of inhale, and then it'll help open up the passageways in the nose and help you to breathe better. So those are just a couple examples of how these essential oils work, but there's so many different types of essential oils that have so many different benefits. And the way that I started was just reading. Honestly, I started reading different books on different essential oils and tried to figure out which ones I wanted to incorporate into my candles so that they were familiar to a lot of people. And then from there, after I did my own research, I just jumped right into training. Became a certified aromatherapist. Um, yeah, and I guess that's how the brand really grew. Honestly, is knowing what essential oils were and how to incorporate them into the candles.
And that makes a lot of sense. Especially when you're talking about eucalyptus and like lavender. I know spearmint is a big one, peppermint.
Yeah,
Um, a lot of the Epsom salt products I buy would have those products in it, the lavender, the eucalyptus for different things. Lavender to help me sleep, eucalyptus for like the additional pain relief and stuff, and to help my congestion. Just different things. So it's cool to hear you talk about that. I haven't done enough research personally to know the differences, but that's why I've got somebody like you who's an expert in the essential oil use. Because, I tell people all the time, utilize their network. You don't have to
yeah,
be a master at everything. You don't
yeah,
have to be an expert at everything, but like talk to somebody that knows so they can, better direct you, in those areas.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So speaking of, what are some of the ways we could consume the essential oils? Because I know we talked about the aromatherapies, but
Mhm.
I noticed you have like these roll-on elixirs. Like what
Yeah,
are those?
yeah. So that's a great question. Essential oils, as I mentioned before, they're so concentrated. You don't want to um, put them topically directly onto your skin because they're so strong. So I have, of course, I have them in the candles, but then I also have them in the elixirs that you mentioned. In the elixirs, they are blended or mixed with carrier oil. The carrier oil I chose to use is coconut oil, but a lot of people like to use jojoba oil, argan oil, even olive oil. So I've chose to use coconut oil because it's a lightweight oil, and it's also an oil that helps to um, it absorbs really well into the skin. And you see me looking over here because I have them here. So the elixirs that I have are blended, like I said, with coconut oil, with essential oils, and they offer different, I guess, um, holistic. What's the word that I'm looking for?
Like different benefits, I
Holistic
guess.
solution. Yeah, to
Yeah.
your problems. Yeah. So this one in particular is called Inhale Exhale, and it's blended with it has eucalyptus in it. It also has some cedar wood in it. But then this one is also really good for helping you to breathe, open up that nasal passage. So you can apply it topically using the elixirs onto your skin, or you can put in a candle, inhale it through the candle. Another way that I like to tell people is even just taking like a bottle of these essential oils, taking a few drops out of the bottle and placing it
Mm-hmm.
onto like a cotton ball. They have these essential oil like tubes that you can buy, and then you can just place it into the tube. The tube has a cotton ball in it and it absorbs that essential oil. You can just put in your pocket, walking around with you all day. If you put some lavender in it, you need to smell of lavender throughout the day. Somebody pisses you off while you're on the road, you just, open it up, smell it, put it back, breathe, and you're good, right? So there's a few different ways to um to kind of experience the essential oils.
Now that's see, I'm glad you started off by saying that you shouldn't consume it directly
Mhm.
because, you know, my special self would have tried that.
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, I got to get the strongest effect possible, but a lot of times I could do more harm than good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people don't know that. And I like to tell people that because It is it can be a hazard, and too much of anything is not really good.
Right.
And a
Right.
lot of people aren't really as educated when it comes to essential oils, and that's definitely one thing that I do want to say is yes, topically, just straight out the bottle, you can do it, but it's risky. It's very risky, and I don't really recommend it. And that's why I say, blend it with a carrier oil, like a coconut oil, or, just inhale it other ways.
Now, what are some of the challenges that you've faced and overcame in your business? Like personally, I think that for me, finding the time to be consistent and to commit with the kids and,
Mm.
the jobs and, all the different commitments, it's just tough. But what about you? What kind of challenges do you really face?
It's almost like, well, where do I start? Because being an entrepreneur, I'm telling you, it's a journey and it's a learning experience, and you learn so many lessons. I will definitely say time management, learning how to juggle um, my household, my children, as well as the business. Um, but time management for me has progressed over time, and that's one of my it's been one of my biggest challenges, but it's also been one of my biggest achievements because I think I'm in a pretty good sweet spot right now. Um, on top of that, is just finding my niche, finding my go-to person and who I want to really offer my products and services to. That has pivoted 2 or 3 times within the past few years. Um, let's see. Also, consistency. Um, Finding that sweet spot in the marketing, and then also because I'm my own bookkeeper. I'm my own inventory manager. I'm my
Yep.
own administrative assistant. So finding the balance between all of those things, um, and really just kind of implementing different ways to keep the balance, right? So now I've learned that I need my planner, I need my to-do list. I actually have to stay ahead of the game. So, for instance, usually during Q3 is when I complete, or at least I try to complete my marketing plan for the following year, so that now I know what I'm talking about within each month. Um, so that I'm not really overwhelmed, because I can get overwhelmed pretty fast. So, just really, it's been a lot of things. Just really implementing those different strategies on how to stay ahead of the game, really keeping up with the time management, and just staying consistent, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I learned that over the years, being that once the solopreneur is definitely the biggest challenge, because you're wearing all of the hats of a business at once. You are your own marketer, you are your own research and developer. You are doing everything possible for business by yourself in most cases. Yeah, the spouses help when they can, but
Mhm.
it's usually like on us to be the deliverer for our businesses.
Yeah,
So I found that the more I could try to delegate or branch out to folks to help with that, the better. But then you have to get into that learning curve of teaching folks and trying to work with their schedules, and trying to not be over the shoulder too much, because when you want something done right, you always feel like you have to do it yourself. But then it's
yeah,
like, how are they going to learn if you don't give them a chance to mess up?
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
weighing the pros and cons of being that kind of entrepreneur.
yeah, for sure. I think my husband eventually he's gonna have me put him on some type of payroll. 'Cause this man, he's my muscle. Like, if I'm doing pop-ups, he's moving my inventory back and forth, and he's anything I need, he's very reliable, so I can go to him and say, "Hey, babe, I need X, Y, and Z," and he'll get it done. So, it either comes with the title, but yeah, I think big ups, shout out to him for being very supportive.
I was gonna say shout out to Chris, 'cause he's the
Yeah,
man.
shout out to Chris.
All right, so as far as utilizing your network, looking at you and seeing your growth over the years, I've seen you've been to a bunch of networking events. You know, how do you utilize your network to not just advance your product, but also to advance your mission of promoting, mental health and self care to, your audience?
Finding different ways to collaborate. I think that's a big one. When when I'm networking and getting to know different types of people, just letting them know what I have to offer. So it became a big thing where I had to start talking about my brand and me being comfortable with talking about my brand, because it took a while for me to actually realize, like, girl, you're a business owner and people aren't really going to know what you have to offer unless you start talking about it. So the thing for me is actually talking about my brand and getting myself out there so that people know who I am. And from there, just forging these different types of relationships with different types of people and knowing exactly who I can connect with, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so I think with so many people having different platforms, is really no way to go but up. Right, because you reach out, we reach out to each other, right, and then we say, hey, let's collab, let's make magic. And that's usually what happens when you link up with people who align with your brand or who align with you as a person. You just make magic together, and I think that collaboration will be top tier. That's number one, is collaborating for sure.
I absolutely agree because, it's just the only way for us to grow is together.
Yeah.
And we learn so many different perspectives from each other. I don't know everything there is to know about business. I don't know everything there is to know about marketing. I don't even know everything there is to know about doing videos. And I've been doing videos for years and years.
Yeah.
But it's like you learn, you figure out what your holes are from talking to other people and figuring out, okay, what are their strengths? What are they doing about similar situations that they're in? And you're like, oh, I didn't think of it like that. I
Yeah.
think that these networking events are just awesome.
Hmm. They truly are. And then you, from the events itself, you build these different. It's not only business friendships, but you really you learn these people, and you build genuine friendships. And that's the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur too, is you have these entrepreneurial friends who you can relate to and talk to and bounce ideas off of. And it's very refreshing, especially coming from a background with knowing not too many entrepreneurs, you know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, tying some things together, we talked earlier about kind of what you like to do to, kind of take care of yourself as far as like how you like to relax and how you like to kind of center yourself and ground yourself. Now, let's try to make something actionable for our audience. Like, suppose you've got a business owner who works 12, 15 hours a day.
Mhm.
How would you break down some of that in order to make sure he has time for he or she has time for their own self-care within that working time or within, that 24-hour day?
I always like to direct that back to the breath, right? The breath is always available to you. It's not going anywhere, it's yours, right? It can't fall out your pocket. So, with that being said, you can offer yourself self care at any given time of day, whether that's in the car after working your 15-hour shift, whether that's at home while you're on the toilet, whether that's anywhere, honestly. So I like to let people know different types of breathing techniques that they can practice. If ever they feel like they need to center themselves, or they just need a moment to kind of just gather themselves before they move on to the next task. Um, and it seems so small to do, or it seems like so cliche, like the advice is so cliche, but it helps so much for the moment, right?
Absolutely.
Um, and it could be something like just sitting still mindfully, right? Sitting up tall, drawing your shoulders back, head straight so that the crown of the head is parallel to the ceiling, and counting your breaths. So maybe you inhale, counting for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhale, make the exhale a little bit longer. for 6 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's a great way to regulate the nervous system, but also to help you be a little bit more mindful with the breath. And then you're able to connect with the body a little bit. So I can really keep going on, but this is what I'm going to say. From connecting with the body, you can actually feel different areas of the body where there's tension, where there's pain, where there's any discomfort, and you can notice it, right? If you feel frustration, where does
Right.
that show up in the body? Is it in the head? Is it in the chest? Is it in your belly, right? And taking that moment to breathe can be a great way for you to navigate and find out where that frustration is coming from, right? And then it also helps you put a label to what you're actually feeling in the moment. A lot of times we're moving so fast throughout the day, we're not really paying attention to how our body physically feels, right? We're just
Exactly.
moving. We know that our feet hurt because we've been standing on our feet all day, or our wrists are hurting because we've been typing all day, but we don't know what label to put on that, right? And then I think after we find out what type of label or what label you're putting on that, we know how to prevent it, right? We know how to not get to where we're stretched so thin. Um, I could I could really keep going on and on, because then I'm gonna start talking about the different parts, and but I think starting with noticing the breath and taking those breathing techniques, taking those breathing breaks throughout the day, is really a great segue into really becoming centered and really understanding what's happening in the body and connecting the breath with the body.
I think, yeah, it really takes. It starts first at you kind of taking a quick pause and say, okay, let me slow down. Let me just evaluate some things. Let me evaluate myself,
Yeah,
because then you have to put things on pause just for a few minutes, just for a beat, just to say, okay, I need to kind of relax a little bit, recenter myself, so I could be my most productive self later.
yeah,
Because that I think that because we neglect ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally so much, so often, that leads to so much burnout later.
yeah,
And I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I just want to keep pushing through, keep powering through till I finish the task,
yeah,
or till like all the tasks of the day are done.
yeah.
But I don't. I'm not, conscious enough to say, okay, let me split things up, and in between tasks 2 and 3, take a
Mhm.
break.
Yeah.
You know.
We
So
all are. We all
yeah,
are. I'm guilty of it too. I'm a mom of almost three now. So I'm always having something to do, right? And pushing that time to the side is very common, until maybe the end of the day, once everything is done, and then you're tired, and then it's like, well, I don't feel like it. but you really have to make that time. And I think that we all are guilty of it. It's just really taking being intentional about being mindful. You know what I
yep,
mean?
yep,
Being really intentional about it, of being mindful, and then just creating a habit of it. And the more you do it, you'll find the more it works. I promise.
I like that, being intentional about being mindful, because
Yeah,
if we don't plan to make time for ourselves and just to kind of take pauses, we're just gonna kind of ruin ourselves in the process when you think
yeah,
about it.
yeah, for sure. And then that physical pain that's caused by stress, that's a real thing too. So
Absolutely.
that's a real thing. So you gotta definitely be intentional about being mindful.
So what's next for Zen Aromas? We talked about some of the products you have. Now let's talk about some of the goals you have in mind for this year and next. And yeah, I guess we could say this year and next, because we're still kind of early.
Yeah, it's so much. It's so much. Like, whew. Okay, so of course, keeping up with my aromatherapy, that's not going anywhere. um, I want to do a few more trainings to kind of extend my yoga brand. I'm intentionally not saying too much because I'm a big. I want to kind of like just chill, let it
I'm gonna
happen,
say
and then
say as much as you need, because
okay,
I believe in speaking things into existence. So if you
okay,
manifest things, that's
okay.
totally fine.
All right. So I think workshops will be big within from this year and next year. Um, I want to host several different types of workshops, and those are kind of in the planning stages now. I think that will probably be the biggest step that I'll be taking very soon, hosting those workshops. Like I said, my aromatherapy, that's definitely not going anywhere, but we'll definitely start with the workshops. Everything that I'm doing now, I'm kind of taking baby steps in leading up to those workshops.
Yep.
Um, so, and it's an exciting process. It's very stressful, but it's an exciting process because I'm watching things unfold right before my eyes. And I know that, my goals, they're going to happen. It's just taking those steps to get there is trusting the process has been great. So, yeah, I think to answer your question, workshops, and a lot more collaboration too. I'm definitely wanting to get my name out there even more,
Absolutely.
um, and letting people know exactly, especially in the Southern Maryland area, because there's not much out here. So definitely letting people know exactly what I have to offer and, excuse me, who I'm offering it to, is will be a big thing too. So um that's on the goal sheet. I also have been collaborating with different elementary schools locally, teaching children yoga in the elementary schools.
Oh,
And I
that's
think,
awesome.
yeah, oh goodness, teaching children yoga is another experience, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing because they're so into it, and they're eager too.
Yeah.
But I think from there, from working in the elementary schools, I also want to get into the high schools too. So um, that's on the goal sheet. It's I think between those three things within this year and next year is it's going to happen. It's just, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, well, my last guest, Jarrell, he works in, I think, elementary schools. So, I think it's just interesting, how it all comes full circle. Like we were talking about the network and how you never know how your network is interweaving until you actually like think about diving into it. So
Yeah. And I'm glad that you did because I did see your previous episode. I think he was an educator. He's some type of
yeah,
educator.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's amazing. I'm glad that, we can kind of connect that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, as far as the yoga classes, do you have a particular place that you host those at? Are they virtual?
Currently,
How
they're
those
virtual.
happen? Okay.
Yeah, thank you for asking them. Excuse me for cutting you off. Currently, they're virtually. So I not only teach through virtually through my own brand, but I also work for a few other therapists who I kind of collaborate with and work with, and I teach their clients. A lot of those clients have dealt with traumatic experiences, or a lot of those clients are even neurodivergent. So those are kind of the type of people who I have a lot of experience with because
Hmm.
those are the people who I teach. So yeah, so it's working out virtually for me at the moment.
No, I mean that's great because I think that the virtual world has opened up so many opportunities for us.
Yeah,
Who would have like 20 years ago we wouldn't really think about taking virtual classes. Everything was on like DVD, sure, but nobody thought that we'd physically be looking at a screen, watching somebody real time teach us stuff,
yeah,
and actually be able to interact with them. Because it's
yeah.
just cool like how everything kind of developed.
Honestly, you'll be surprised how many genuine relationships you will forge through the computer, through the
Yeah,
webcam.
yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. I love it. And it's so convenient. I do it from home.
Yeah, and that's just so awesome. You set your own schedule. That's great. That
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
So just thinking back, right, about some things that you have now as far as your physical products, your journaling. Um, what do you think has been the most helpful for you personally in your, journey as far as keeping, your self-care in line, keeping your timing in line, your schedule in line? What do you think has been most what do you think has been, your number one or number two things as far as keeping you grounded?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Yoga and meditating.
Yoga and
Yoga
meditating.
and meditating. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, those things have been very transformational for me. I once I once I started to practice those things regularly, I realized how much my life has changed. I don't respond to certain things as quickly as I used to.
Hmm.
I'm more of a think before I do or speak type person. Um, Plus, I'm more inquisitive now. I ask more questions as opposed to me just being in my head and just figuring things out on my own. I ask questions now. I'm more confident with myself. Um, I know how to center myself when I find that I am on edge or when I'm losing patience with my children. I find that, I know when exactly is the time for me to step away. So I've learned, I guess what I'm saying is I've learned myself during the process and the practice of mindfulness.
Absolutely.
Um, and I don't think that that's ever going to go away because now I have those tools in my back pocket. So when I need them, I can just pull them out and become, I guess, centered. So, so I think yoga and meditation, and I'm not going to count out coffee either, because a cup of coffee will get me through the day, and yeah, that also helps.
So if our audience wants to, let's say, purchase a product from you or maybe book a service, a session, what's the best way to do that?
Go to my website. Go directly to my website. It's www.zenaromasllc.com. You can find all of my products there. You could also find all of the services that I offer there. And then I also have, you can leave any comments or anything on the website there too, which will come to me directly. So I'm very responsive. I'm also active on social media. So Instagram and TikTok. My names are zenaromas.wellness on each. I'm very responsive there too. And then you could also find me on Facebook at Zen Aromas.
Zen Aromas.
Yeah.
Zen Aromas, Zen Aromas. And don't
Trying
forget the
very
wellness, because that's the big kicker. The
hard.
wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. So I know personally, I plan to incorporate more yoga in my routine because I've always had kind of like tight hamstrings and stuff playing sports, but it's helped a lot because it kind of helps ground you and center you, but also it increases your flexibility, which decreases your chance of injury. It's crazy how beneficial yoga is that people don't think about it.
Yeah.
Most men are like, "You do yoga, that's soft." I'm like, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played the most minutes in the NBA because he did yoga as his regular routine. Yeah. A lot of
What?
people, he's a 7-footer that barely dealt with injuries because yoga was his thing. He made sure he
Yeah.
stayed flexible.
Listen, don't sleep on yoga, especially the men, for sure, because
Yeah.
even if you do play sports, we get a lot of like football players that come into the yoga classes because they need to be flexible too. You can't be out there with tight muscles, running up
Yep.
and down the field, and it's just not conducive for the body. So I think, yeah, like, don't sleep on it. A lot of people think that it's very zen like and it's a feminine thing, but you do stretch out the body. It's very important. It's very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, one of those things that helps with so many things like circulation and, coordination. People just sleep on yoga. And I
Yeah.
tell them, that's on you.
Yeah. You're missing out,
Yeah,
fam.
yeah, you missing out. All right. Was there anything I forgot to ask you that we didn't hit on?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything.
All right. All right. Well,
Yeah,
Iesha Glover, Zen Aromas and Wellness LLC. I want to thank you again for being a part of my show.
of
Guys,
course.
make sure you all hit her up on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere she's available. Zen
Yep. Thank you so
Aromas.
much for having me, IG. It's been a blast for sure. You've been my boy for a while, so I'm like, IG said show up, let's show up.
That's
Let's
not that's
show up
not
for
going to
each other.
change. It's
Yeah.
it's we only have each other at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
each one reach one to teach one, but also like we grow together. So
Yeah.
that's That's just what I love about, and your spirit is so infectious, so contagious, and you've always been this good person. So,
Oh,
I've always tried to, tell people all the time, like, hey, you're looking for somebody that's always gonna be on your side, is gonna bring you good vibes.
yeah.
Aisha's your girl.
Thank you.
you
I
know,
appreciate that, IG. I really do.
of course, always. But thanks again, IG. And we'll talk soon.
All right. Well, you have a good one. I appreciate you having me again. And congratulations on everything. And keep going, bro. Keep going because you're doing a great job.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I beat myself up a little bit, but
Yeah.
all in all, I'm just doing the best I can. For me, the family, just doing what I can.
Listen, you out here doing it. And I see you. I see you. You're out here doing it. So just keep going. Don't let nothing or nobody stop you from continuing. Just keep going, bro.
Absolutely. I gotta find my zen. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
And if you need help with that, you know where to find me too.
Oh, I'm gonna take you up on that.
All right, bro.
All right, bro.
See you later.
Yep.